This video will be on rekeying Kwikset single cylinder deadbolts. Deadbolt consists of the tumbler housing, the cylinder or plug, the tongue, and an E-clip. This video will focus on a deadbolt that has a key, a deadbolt that doesn't have a key, a smart lock with a key, and a smart lock without a key. The rekeying kit comes with all the pins from 1 through 6. The pins range in depth from 0.172 inches for pin number 1 to 0.287 inches for pin number 6. The tools include a key gauging tool, a plug follower, and a cylinder removal tool. The first step is to gauge the key. We're using 5-pin cylinders, so each key will have 5 cuts. Start at the thumb grip of the key and work down the blade to its narrowest end. The first cut will be here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the gauge, and put the key into the gauge and slide the key down until it achieves its maximum depth. 3, 4, 5, 1, 5. It's a good idea to write those numbers down. The next step is to disassemble the lock. First, remove the E-clip and the tongue. Then insert the current key into the lock and rotate it 90 degrees away from the tumbler housing. Use the plug follower to push out the cylinder so we don't lose our top pins or our springs. Second, remove the key and empty the old pins. We got them. Since they're color coded, it's a lot easier. We check this to make sure by inserting our key into the cylinder, and all the pins should be lined up along the top. Nice straight line. Then we reinsert the cylinder into the tumbler housing, again keeping the pins at a 90-degree angle away from the tumbler housing. Insert it, push the plug out, turn the cylinder until it clicks. Then reassemble by putting the tongue back in and the E-clip, and check the lock. This lock is rekeyed. Next, we'll rekey a lock that has no key. Again, the first thing to do is disassemble by removing the E-clip and the tongue. We need to pull the spring cover off to remove the springs and the pins inside, which will also give us our lower pins. I generally use a razor blade, set it in, and remove the cover. Carefully, otherwise those springs will shoot out. Set it off to the side and remove the springs. Then empty all the pins and remove the cylinder. Now we need to reassemble the lock. First we'll insert the plug follower into the housing. Then we'll put in 5 new top pins, 1 in each slot. And then replace all 5 of the springs. Again, 1 in each slot. Then we put the cap back on and keep them locked in place. Slowly press straight down and it will click in place. We'll set this housing off to the side. To complete this lock, I'll need to gauge another key. Again, we start from the thumb down the blade to its narrowest end. 5, 2, 3, 2, 2. Again, it's important to write that number down. And then we repin it. Now we test the key again, and all the pins should line up across the top. And that looks good. Now we rebuild the lock. Turn the cylinder till it clicks, and replace the tongue and E clip. Test the key. That lock is rekeyed. Now we'll rekey a smart lock. All we'll need is the smart lock, the original key, the key we want it to learn, and the smart lock rekeying tool. It's this simple. Turn the lock 90 degrees and insert the smart lock rekeying tool. Push it in all the way. Remove the original key. Insert the new key. Remove the smart lock rekeying tool. This lock is rekeyed. Finally, we'll rekey a smart lock that doesn't have the key. For this, we will need the Kwikset Smart Key Recradle. We simply turn the arrow to where it lines up with the impression of the lock. Looks just like the lock with the slot and the extra pin. Then we take apart the lock, remove the E-clip, the tongue, the spacer, and the retention clip. Pull the cylinder out of the lock and set it in the cradle. We turn the cradle to where the arrows line up. Then we insert the smart key tool all the way and pull it out. Take the new key we want the lock to learn, set it in, remove the cylinder from the cradle, turn the key 90 degrees, and reset it in the housing. Pull the key out, rebuild the lock. Retention clip, spacer, the tongue, and the E-clip. Then we test the key. This lock is rekeyed. As an extra, I'm going to take a disassembled lock, put it back together, and give it a master key. First thing we do is we assemble the tumbler housing. Put the plug follower in to make sure we don't lose our top pins and our springs. We'll then put a top pin in each one of these holes in the cylinder and a spring to follow it and cap it. After reassembling the tumbler housing, we set it to the side, and now we'll need to gauge 2 sets of keys for this lock. The first key will be 4, 1, 4, 4, 6. It's important to write these numbers down. The second key will be 6, 3, 2, 3, 5. Now, in order to determine which our bottom pins will be, we circle the smallest number from each key. In this case, it's 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. These will be our bottom pins. Then we subtract. 4 from 6 is 2. 1 from 3 is 2. 2 from 4 is 2. 3 from 4 is 1. 5 from 6 is 1. These will be our master pins. The master pins are very thin and difficult to see. Then we just put our pins in the cylinders like we've done before. Four. 1, 2, 3, 5. It's difficult to get these top pins in. Only way to check it is to reassemble the lock. Again, keep it at a 90-degree angle away from the tumbler housing. Slide it in, pushing the chaser plug out. Turn until it clicks and reassemble. Put the tongue in, the E-clip, and now we check both our keys. Key number 1 works. And key number 2 works. This lock is mastered